This is KGW News at noon.
And we start this noon talking abortion in Idaho. The state's near total ban on abortion went into effect today. At the last minute, a judge restricted one of the provisions in the bill, but this ban will have a big impact on Oregon and Washington. Both states are expecting to see a surge in patients crossing the border to get an abortion. Brian Holmes from our sister station in Boise breaks down where things stand right now.
Idaho's near total abortion ban says every person who performs or attempts to perform an abortion commits the crime of criminal abortion. It allows for few exceptions in cases of incest or rape reported to law enforcement, or where the doctor determined in good faith an abortion was necessary to prevent the death of the pregnant woman. The U.S. Department of Justice claims that last clause, the death of the pregnant woman, is too narrow and violates the Federal Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act, or EMTALA, which requires anyone needing emergency medical treatment get it, including a pregnant woman. The DOJ lawsuit hinges on the fact Idaho's law provides no exception for the health of the mother, only her imminent death. In Wednesday's ruling, U.S. District Judge Lynn Windmill agreed and put a pause on just that part of Idaho's trigger law until the lawsuit runs its course through the courts, meaning an Idaho doctor can perform an abortion if the woman's health is at risk. All other instances, outside rape or incest, will still be illegal.
Planned Parenthood is expecting a big surge of out-of-state patients. The executive director told us they're preparing for a 234% increase in the number of people coming to Oregon for abortion access.
We also know that people coming in mean that people here in Oregon might be facing longer wait times, or that other essential and critical reproductive health care like family planning, well women's visits, pap smears might also face a little bit of pressing time because of the surge in patients.
Planned Parenthood says it will continue to welcome and try to help anyone in need of care, but it also believes Oregon's healthcare infrastructure is not ready to meet this added demand. Let's take a look at some of the national headlines this noon. The DOJ has submitted proposed redactions to the affidavit it used to search Mar-a-Lago, Donald Trump's home in Florida. The judge indicated he may not release too much. The Justice Department does not want to unseal anything, but the former president took some legal action asking to release all documents that were found. It's unclear when the judge will make a final decision. The Uvalde School Board has fired school police chief Pete Arredondo. He's been criticized for waiting more than an hour before moving in to stop a gunman holdup inside Robb Elementary School. Arredondo was not at this meeting. He released a statement, though, saying the entire process is a violation of his constitutional rights. His attorneys called for him to be reinstated with back pay and benefits. And the Department of Defense released this video showing a military airstrike in Syria. The U.S. says it's in retaliation for an attack on American troops as recently as this month. Hours after the American strikes, rocket fire hit 2 U.S. military locations in Syria near large oil and gas fields. 3 U.S. service members were injured. Well, earlier this week, we told you about a TikTok challenge that encourages people to steal cars. This noon, we're hearing from a mom who's calling out her own daughter for taking part. She says she reported the crime to police, but they won't do anything about it. Catherine Cook has more on her impassioned plea.
They're still in these cars, wrecking them, or joyriding in them, wrecking them.
Cherie knows all about the Kia Challenge, the TikTok trend daring people to steal Kias and Hyundais.
Started with a charger piece, like this.
Videos show how to use a USB cable and other tools to do it. This summer, Portland police stats show thefts of those makes have more than quadrupled in Portland. Similar story in other cities. It all pains Cherie, but not as a car theft victim. It pains her as a mom.
I have notified the police, because my daughter is involved in that.
Cherie says her daughter, who's 16, has been involved in at least 3 Kia thefts this summer. 2, she says, ended in dangerous crashes, including one last week.
It was wrecked so bad that it caught fire. I spoke to an officer there who informed me that there's nothing that they're going to do. So these families are out here hurting and being victimized without any justice. And being that my child is involved, I'm not going to sit back and not do anything.
Cherie says she reported all 3 thefts to police, but says they never followed up with her on any of them. She says her daughter and friends see that, which just emboldens them.
That is my biggest reason why I'm stepping out, because I know that there's a lot of other parents that's dealing with this.
Cherie doesn't have the names of the officers she talked to, and a police spokesperson tells us without that information, he can't address her situation. But on car theft in general, he says officers do their follow-up work between responding to 911 calls, and almost every shift is constantly short officers. By email, Portland Police Lieutenant Nathan Shepard tells us, quote, "It frustrates us that we can't give the highest level of service we believe our community deserves. But with a growing population and the shrinking police force we've experienced the last few years, we sometimes can't provide the same level of service we used to. However, we'll keep trying." In the meantime, Cherie worries this trend of car thefts will only get worse and the consequences more serious. She hopes her daughter will finally listen.
I would rather to have her in juvie, knowing that she's somewhere that is more than likely going to be is safe for her, than to get that phone call that they found my child deceased somewhere, or that they have her in handcuffs because she's, taking the lives of someone else.
Catherine Cook, KGW News.
It's been almost 2 years now since wildfires exploded over the 2020 Labor Day weekend. Flames scorched more than 1 million acres that season, and that's in stark contrast to this season. The U.S. Forest Service says crews have caught 98% of the fires this season because they're working together across jurisdictional lines. There are currently 34 wildfires burning across the state, but only 2 are larger than 1,000 acres. Many of them were caused by lightning. We spoke to the Oregon Department of Forestry about how this new collaborative system works.
We have upped our vigilance when it comes to initial attack. A lot of those 2020 fires were small fires to begin with, and then we had that east wind event happen, which just spread them much further and faster than we could have anticipated.
The department also says it's ramped up hiring over the last couple of years to help catch these fires early on. Well, it is hot and sunny today, but air quality could be an issue soon. Rod, you have an advisory.
Yeah, DEQ put out an advisory. This is for parts of Marion County, including you folks in Salem and down into Oregon City. Now, with that said, this advisory in place just this afternoon into this evening. See all the green dots, including Salem, including all of the Portland, Oregon City metro areas. Air quality is good. So, but just to let you know, there are concerns ozone levels could be rising up into that unhealthy for sensitive people in terms of health risk. We do have bad air quality down in Northern California. And then remember Highway 58 that runs from Eugene to Willamette Pass. We have that cluster of wildfires in that region that are burning. So that's probably going to be the smokiest area of our state. Here's a look at where we are at noon. We had solid clouds and, in fact, a fog advisory this morning up and down the coast. That has expired, and many of the coast cameras showing at least some sun, including Newport, Uquinta Bay at 64 degrees. Downtown Portland has been sunny all day. We're up to 79, warmest noontime temperature of the week. And yesterday we made it to 94, so I like our chances of getting to 94. Maybe 95. Generally this time of the year, you figure you're going to warm up a good 15 degrees. That'll put us right there from the noon hour, I should say. Then we'll still be in the mid-80s at 8 o'clock. Weekend forecast, hood to coast relay. It's not going to be hot. It's not going to be windy. We'll have the forecast for you coming up.
The runners and walkers will appreciate that. Thank you, Rod. Well, we are talking going electric. Washington plans to join California in a major push to limit gas-powered cars. When the change is coming and why state officials think this will help drive down costs. And it is the mother of all relays. Rod just alluded to it. We're going to get set for a Hood to Coast, which starts early tomorrow morning up on Mount Hood.